We've all been there. You make a decision, something small, what to wear, what to say, whether to go, and before you've even finished the thought, you've already pictured someone else's reaction to it. I know that feeling well. The quiet scan before you post something. The slight rewording of a sentence so it lands better. The plan you almost made and then didn't because you ran it through someone first and their hesitation was enough to stop you. For a long time I thought that was just being considerate. Being self-aware. Being someone who thinks before they act. Turns out I was just untrained. Your opinion of yourself isn't actually supposed to live inside other people. That's not humility. That's a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. This isn't about becoming someone who stops caring. It is about learning the difference between caring about people and needing them to hold you together. That difference will change how you make every decision for the rest of your life. So stay with me, because what we're about to walk through isn't theory. It's a 30-day experiment, and you're the subject. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Caring about what people think is not a character flaw. It is a survival mechanism. For most of human history, being rejected by your group was a death sentence. No tribe meant no food, no shelter, no protection. So your brain evolved to treat social disapproval the same way it treats physical danger. Same threat response, same cortisol spike, same urgency to fix it immediately. That's not weakness. That's ancient wiring doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is the threat is no longer real. Your coworker's opinion of your haircut cannot end your life. Your parents' disappointment about your career cannot remove you from the food supply. Your friend's raised eyebrow over your new habit is not a vote to exile you from the village. But your nervous system doesn't know that. So every time you go to make a decision, what to wear, what to post, what to do with your Saturday, what to say in the meeting, your brain runs a background scan. How will this land? Will people approve? What if they don't? And most of the time, before you even notice it's happening, the decision has already been filtered. That's the barrier, not other people's opinions. Your brain's automatic response to the idea of other people's opinions. Psychologists call this external validation dependence, and research shows that by adulthood, most people have spent so long running that filter that they no longer experience their own preferences directly. They experience the anticipated reaction first, and then they work backward. Here's what neuroscience predicts would happen if you ran this experiment seriously. The first week is uncomfortable. Your anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for detecting social conflict, is going to be loud. Every time you make a decision without seeking approval, it fires something like a warning. This is unusual. This might be wrong. That feeling is not reality. That is withdrawal from a loop your brain has been running for years. By the second week, something shifts. Research on identity-based decision-making shows that when external approval signals are removed, a different region starts activating more consistently, the medial prefrontal cortex. This is the area associated with self-referential processing. Your own preferences, your own values, the things you actually want, independent of the audience. Most people have never heard that signal clearly because it has always been drowned out. By the third week, your decisions get faster. When you stop running choices through a social filter, the decision latency drops. You stop second-guessing, not because you stopped caring about outcomes, but because the extra loop is gone. And here is the result that surprises people most. By week 4, studies on validation independence show that people who practice this consistently don't become isolated or disconnected. They become more selective. They stop performing relationships and start having them. The people they keep around are people who actually know them, not a curated version designed to avoid friction. That is not what most people expect. Most people think removing the approval filter will make them worse socially. The data says the opposite. So what does this actually look like? Day by day. The rule is one rule, and it's this. Before you seek approval, pause. Ask yourself, is this information I need to make a better decision, or is this reassurance I'm using to avoid feeling uncertain? If it's information, ask. No problem. If it's reassurance, don't. That distinction is the entire experiment, days 1 through 7. Observation. You're not changing everything at once. You're just noticing. Every time you almost ask for approval, notice it. What was the decision? Who were you going to ask? What were you afraid would happen if they didn't approve? Most people are surprised by how often this happens. We're talking 20, 30 times a day for some people. Small things, outfit choices, email phrasing, what to order, what to say at dinner. The frequency is the data. You need to see it before you can work with it. Days 8 through 14, 1 hold per day. Each day, identify one decision where you would normally seek approval and don't. Just make the call. Live with it. See what actually happens. This is where the uncomfortable part starts, but it's also where the real data starts, because most of the time, nothing happens. The catastrophe your brain was predicting does not arrive. Days 15 through 21. Expand the practice. You're no longer limiting it to one decision a day. You're applying the filter across the board. Ask only when the answer would genuinely improve your decision. Otherwise, trust yourself. This is the phase where people start noticing things about their relationships. Some feel closer to the people around them. Others start realizing certain relationships only work because they were performing. That information is valuable either way. Days 22 through 30. Full experiment. You're not avoiding input, you're choosing it intentionally. You are no longer reflexively outsourcing your confidence. At the end of the 30 days, write down 3 decisions you made that you're proud of, that were genuinely yours. Here's what actually changes. Not your opinions, not your values, not who you are to the people who matter. What changes is the relationship between your thoughts and other people's reactions. Right now, for most people, that relationship runs like this. You think something, you immediately imagine how other people will receive it, and then you adjust. Before the thought even gets to action. After 30 days of this experiment, that sequence changes. You think something. You sit with it. You decide what you actually believe about it. And then, only then, do you consider how to express it in context. That is not selfishness. That is self-possession. And here's the thing about self-possessed people. Everyone around them can feel it. There's something different about a person who doesn't need you to validate them. They're easier to trust, easier to respect, because you know what you're getting. Psychologists who study attachment patterns consistently find that people with high validation independence don't have fewer relationships. They have better ones, because the relationships are built on who they actually are, not on who they were trying to appear to be. That is the result this experiment is designed to produce. Not isolation, not arrogance, not caring. The ability to care about people without needing them to hold you together. Here's your challenge, not to watch this video and think that was interesting. To actually run the experiment, start with days 1 through 7. Just observation, no pressure to change anything yet, just count how many times today you look for someone else's approval before you let yourself move. And then come back and tell me, drop it in the comments. What did you notice? What surprised you? What decision did you almost outsource? Because this series only works if you actually try it. The experiment is yours, the data is yours, I just gave you the protocol. The next video in this series connects directly to something we covered in the overstimulation video. If you haven't watched that one, the link is on screen now. I'll see you in the next experiment.